100%, right? Okay, what was your plan? You come in, you have an at-bat. Maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't so good. You talk to, Michael Bedard and the rest of the hitting brain trust down there, Lance Sawatsky, Cody Ashley. Okay, my approach was this. Okay, then why did you do that? Those don't match up. My approach was this. This happened, this happened, this happened. The result was what it was. If they come in the dugout and they say, hey, I stayed on my approach, I did this, I did that, you can live with the results.
Right.
But what you don't want guys coming in the dugout and say, hey, listen, I was sitting soft early. And then
I changed.
Then I saw a fastball and I swung at it and I jammed myself to third base. That doesn't work. That's a bad plan. So have a good plan. Stick with the plan. We can live with the results. Have a plan. Get off the plan. And then the results get spotty. That's when we have problems.
Right, and that's typical of young hitters, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
And that's why Kevin McGonigal is pretty special. That's why the Tigers have identified him as a guy this is a more mature approach, and just the ability to carry that approach through the at-bat. The whole approach to hitting for him, combine the elite skills with the ability to execute an at-bat is pretty impressive. We'll be talking more about Kevin McGonigal, just signed to the new 8-year deal yesterday, made it official. Nice chat with him today. We are hoping to get this game in. Tigers are flying out today to Boston. Kansas City obviously will come in one more time, but as AJ said today, Bobby, you don't want to just rely on that. It's like, well, you can always make it up later, because it almost always never comes at the right time.
Right.
Always comes at a time you're like, oh my gosh, that will make it 14 games in 12 days
exactly
or something.
Right. Yep.
Because there could be other rainouts that are coming. So yeah, it's a nice fallback, but you don't want to default to that right away.
That's right, and especially even if it ends up being a doubleheader when the Royals come back later in the year, you don't have any earthly idea what shape your pitching is going to be in.
Right.
Whether it's you find a common off day where you can put it there, you just want the schedule's made the way the schedule's made for a reason, right? But so you have less control of the variables when you have to do that. You'd much rather play this game right here today, because we're in good shape right now.
And against that offense right now that is not on all cylinders.
Don't let them off the mat. Yeah.
Tigers and Kansas City Royals trying to complete their 3-game series. Tigers have won the first 2, and it's worth repeating. They've given up, in winning all 5 games in the homestand, 5 runs in the 5 games. As soon as we have an idea of when we're going to start this game today, we'll be sure to pass it along to you. Right now, let's send it back to our affiliates along the Detroit Tigers radio network.
Times was running for his life, and that pocket was closing on him a lot because Caden Proctor was not blocking the way he should have been.
You can't teach a big body, though.
Yeah, you can.
So
yes.
I could see NFL teams seeing that and saying we can mold him into what we need.
Absolutely. A year ago, he was a lot better than he was last season.
It's Buckingham Abdallah here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Will we get 4 trades in the first round next Thursday? Over under 3.5. What happens? We'll talk about that coming up next.
The NFL Draft is next Thursday, and several teams could be wheeling and dealing. Cowboys, Browns, Jets, Chiefs, and Dolphins all have multiple first-round picks. Who will be bold enough to be on the move? Your home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a cybersecurity engineer at a publicly traded company.
We've been hacked! They're through our firewall!
How is that even possible?
They got my password.
Please don't tell me your password was password.
It's actually password 1.
This is the job for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Home
Pollen season is here, so don't let your automobile turn into a pollen mobile.
I was in the early stages of framing, of course, not the way it's valued in today's game, but learning how to catch pitches properly. And then, of course, throwing. If there was one thing, I did very well was my throwing arm. And I've run into scouts up to this day. They have seen me play in high school, and they always talk about how well I threw.
So as you're a catcher and you're loving baseball, and the years go by, you're, of course, also a Phillies fan because you live in Philadelphia. Tell me about your love of Major League Baseball as you're a ball player yourself.
Well, I definitely was a Phillies fan. I mean, and at that time, we got to remember the only thing you would get was a Saturday afternoon game and a Monday night game. There was no cable. There was no Sunday night game on ESPN or anything like that. And the other thing was your home games weren't televised. It was just your road games were televised on the old UHF TVs. So the home games, we would actually listen to every game on radio. So Harry Callis was the announcer for the Phillies, along with Richie Ashburn. And, I have a lot of memories, even memories of, when it was bedtime, but the Phillies were still playing. They would hit a home run, and I would jump out of my bed and look out my window because I lived close enough to see the fireworks going off at Veterans Stadium. So, that was the early memories. And, again, the living in Philadelphia, you tend to be a homer. So I was like everybody else, loved the Phillies. And, 1980 was obviously the pinnacle for them. And, unfortunately now I'll say, because it was against the Royals, or coincidentally, but that was a great time in our lives because we hadn't seen a championship in Philadelphia in many, many years until that year.
Well, in fact, and, I didn't realize it at the time, but the Phillies were born in 1883. The World Series began in 1903, and they had never won a World Series. They had been to a couple. And, I try to, if you think of it from a Royals perspective, imagine the Royals born in 1969, never won a World Series till 2066. I mean, they were the Cubs before the Cubs. They were the Red Sox before the Red Sox. They were the Guardians before the Guardians.
No, and you'd always hear about it. 1950 was the Whiz Kids, and they lost in the World Series. I think it was 64. They had I want to say like an 8-game lead to go with 10 games to play, and they lost that lead. That was Gene Mock managing that team. So even as a kid, I heard all of those things, and you knew that the town was just starving for a winner. So it was quite the celebration when they won the World Series.
So as you're playing ball all the time as much as you can, and in a cold weather climate like so many of us grew up in, and you're a baseball fan, you're a Phillies fan, your family's into baseball. At what point are you thinking about Major League Baseball? And at that point, I imagine, as a ball player in your teens.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of minor league teams around that area. The Reading Phillies you always heard about, but I never went to a minor league game, so I never really thought about professional baseball. My dream was to play Major League Baseball, but it was just assumed the first step was you go to college first. But it wasn't until my junior year in high school where I started to hear from scouts, and then even like friends and other players would start saying, you're going to get drafted. Like, you realize you're going to sign. You're not going to go to college. That I'd never really thought about it until that time. Now, my parents are both school teachers, so they had a little different take on things. But it was really in those high school years when I started having success, I would say at the higher levels at that time, that I started to think, you know what, I need to think about professional baseball and being a player. The dream was always there, but then to actually start talking to scouts, it was kind of a turning point in my life where, all right, what do I need to do to get to that goal, which ultimately would lead to be a major league player. But it was a fun time. It's also a little intimidating, but I tried to do my best to just go out and play every day and not worry about what you can't control. And I had a great high school coach who helped me keep things in perspective. And, ultimately, I had some chances. It didn't happen until later on. I went and played a little bit. But, you realize then how hard this game is because you're on top of the mountain one day, and then you start to realize this thing's slipping pretty quickly.
How good a high school team were you on, and how good were you in high school?
I say this very humbly. We had a very good high school team. We lost in the state championship my sophomore year. We lost my junior year. We won my senior year, but both my junior and senior year, and then I think 4 years after that, our high school was ranked in the top 10 in the country perennially, and we just had they'll refer to it's Cherry Hill, New Jersey, is where I ended up living in New Jersey. They'll refer to that as kind of the heyday. The Babe Ruth teams were winning World Series, and we just had a really, for whatever reason at that time, there was a lot of talent in Cherry Hill, and both Cherry Hill West and Cherry Hill East, two rival high schools, had legendary high school coaches and a lot of great memories. But I was very fortunate to play at Cherry Hill West and to go to 3 state championships and to win one finally our senior year.
So in the Philadelphia area, over on the New Jersey side in Cherry Hill, and so you're drafted by Cincinnati a couple of different times. You're going to college. Tell me about all that decision making.
Yeah, looking back now, what I know about the draft, it's kind of funny because history does sort of repeat itself because kids get their hopes up. But, there was speculation that I was going to go in the top 2 or 3 rounds. And, at that time, $100,000 was like the magic number. If you got $100,000, it would be equivalent to today's kids getting $1.5 million. That was like the magic number. And it certainly seemed like that was where I was going to go. And my parents had said, if you get $100,000, then we'll sign off on you going and playing professional baseball. And then as the draft goes, the one team was actually the Montreal Expos that said, if we don't draft this player in the first round, we're probably going to take you in the second or third round. And I was fully ready to sign and go. Well, they ended up drafting a guy named Charles Johnson, who was pretty good, which ironically he did not sign and, foregone the chance to go play professional baseball. I went to the University of Miami where we played against each other a couple years later. Then day 2 of the draft, a lot of calls the night before, and teams were just going to take a flyer and come watch me in the summer. So Cincinnati took me in the first round of the next day, which was the 16th round, and they did that. They came and watched me play. And
back then they had draft and follow, right? You could draft a guy and then watch him for a while.
Yes, you could, and if you went to a junior college and they held your rights, but I was committed to NC State, and I was going to go to NC State if I didn't sign, but Julian Mock was a longtime scouting director for the Reds, and he spent a weekend watching me play in August. We were literally like days away from me going to NC State. They offered $85,000. It got kind of close, and my parents said no. The deal was $100,000 because, of course, at that point you had gone through freshman orientation. You're getting closer to you've selected your classes, and they were all in on me going to college, and they held a hard line. And it's hard to wonder like what ifs, but we'll never know the answer to that. So you just kind of chalk it up as a good memory.
Talking to J.J. Picollo about his baseball beginnings and his evolution in baseball. So you playing a great high school team. You wind up at NC State. Ray Tanner, who would later win national championships, coaching, among others, Whit Merrifield at South Carolina. But at that point, he was the NC State coach, a very good coach. You played there 2 years, then 2 years at George Mason. Tell me about your college career.
Yeah, well, first, I wish I knew then what I know now, because I think I would have handled things a little bit differently. Ray's a legendary coach. He's in the College Hall of Fame. He's won 2 national championships at South Carolina. He was tough to play for, but in a good way. And sometimes, it's the first time I'd met any adversity. I had an elbow surgery during my sophomore year in the fall. Played a lot as a freshman. I started, majority of the games, had a decent freshman year. Sophomore year, the elbow wasn't really responding after the surgery, and I wasn't hitting well. And so overall, I really wasn't playing all that well. But it still had a great time at NC State. And, I wish I understood things better, because I think I might have fight through this and you'll come out on the other end of it. But, we were in literally a run away from going to the College World Series. My freshman year had another good run through the regionals. My sophomore year, we were a run away from going to the College World Series. My freshman year, we lost at the University of Miami. The Citadel was a team that ran the regional and was the Cinderella team that year. A lot of great experiences at NC State. We lost in the ACC championship one year. And there are things that you just don't forget. And a lot of those guys on that team I still keep in touch with, and a lot of great memories. But it was time to move on.
And then you go to George Mason.
Yeah. I'll try to make this a really quick story, but I had played with Kenny Munoz in a college summer league, who actually is a scout for us today. He's been with us for a number of years. Kenny was a shortstop. I was a catcher. I had to sit out the year because the transfer rules were a little bit different then. And Kenny called me in the middle of the summer, right before what would have been my 4th year, really, in college. Said, hey, we need a catcher. So I got in a car. I didn't even tell my parents. I drove down to Northern Virginia. It was about a 3-hour ride from where I was living. Met the head coach, met Dayton Moore. Signed scholarship papers that day, went and found an apartment the next day, and went home and told my parents I'm going to George Mason. And it ended up being, honestly, the best thing that happened when you look back on, life's sort of opportunity that comes in different ways. I met my wife, Nicole, there. She ran track, and obviously that's a 26-year marriage and still going well. I met Dayton there, and we worked together for a number of years. So a lot of great things. And we went to a regional as well there at George Mason. Went out here, went to Arizona State, played in a regional there. Didn't do all that well. Unfortunately, my senior year didn't go quite as well. We didn't get to a regional.
Talking to J.J. Picollo, talk about the adversity at NC State and tough losses in tournaments and that sort of thing, the failure that's inherent in baseball. Flash forward many years, you get into baseball administration and you become a general manager, and now you're making decisions about guys who fail and who succeed, and you understand it because you've lived it. How much did those lived experiences help get you ready for the job you have now?
Well, there's so many times through the course of the day you reflect on things that you either went through as a player or a decision you made as a farm director or scouting director or now as a general manager, but those experiences are real. And it's what allows you to hopefully connect with players better, because there's a level of empathy that you have for every player, as good as they are and as talented as they are. They go through their struggles, and there's times where things just don't go their way. But you can talk about adversity and dealing with adversity. Now, of course, major leaguers don't want to hear about high school adversity and college adversity, because what they're dealing with is completely different. But you can at least relate with them and understand where their mind may be, and hopefully maybe explain a decision a little bit better, because you've been in those shoes to a lesser degree, lesser level. But you can still connect, because we're baseball players at heart.
Tell me about Dayton Moore's influence on your baseball life, beginning there at George Mason and going forward.
Well, Dayton was always a really, really tremendous competitor, and he was the assistant coach at George Mason. But, quite honestly, he ran the practices, and he was very demanding, and he was fiery, really strong passion to win, but really strong passion to do things the right way. So and when I played for Dayton, we didn't have this it wasn't a bad relationship, it just wasn't, it was a player-coach relationship. It wasn't until I started to scout, a couple years later, so I was coaching in college, and Dayton was scouting, that we'd see each other at ballparks, and we'd have different types of conversations, and we started to realize, kind of our view of the world and the game and what needs to be done. We aligned a lot more than we probably realized in that coach-player relationship. And it was Dayton that, after my 5th year of coaching in college, which I was totally committed. I wanted to be a head coach at some point and, believed I was going to have opportunities to do that. He asked me to come to a scout school in Florida, and I had verbally accepted a job to go as the associate head coach at East Carolina University that Dayton didn't know about. And he said, hey, we got this great opportunity of scouting. I think you should take advantage of it and come watch. So I then called the head coach at East Carolina and said, hey, look, if it wasn't such a mentor of mine and a friend, I wouldn't do this, but I do feel like I need to at least go explore. And I fell in love with scouting right away. I mean, I loved everything about it and, ended up taking a job with the Braves instead of going to East Carolina.
Tell me about that. Tell me about getting into professional baseball on the scouting side and what your thoughts were about the present and future at that point.
The hard part about it was I loved being on the field, and I loved the competition. Like going home with a win or a loss every day, really drove me. So that part was really difficult, especially when you got the college tournament times and you're scouting. But what I loved about scouting is I felt like it was very pure. It was like grassroots. It was use your eyes and your instincts to determine if this player is a major league player. And I still think to this day, the tools are not hard to figure out. Guys can run fast. They can throw hard. They're good athletes. They have power. The tools are fairly simple to figure out. It's the intangibles that make the difference in who's a major leaguer and who's not. So I just found a lot of joy and purity in making those calls and really having a great understanding, or learning to have a better understanding. The world doesn't exist right there. I had the Mid-Atlantic region. It's not just right there in the Mid-Atlantic. There's kids in California. There's kids in Texas. And then it really was when I got into player development that I started to understand, that foundation of scouting really, really helped me understand the game a lot better. Now we think about competition in a different way, but I loved the scouting part of that. And that time in my career was 5 drafts. I would say they were the most enjoyable 5 years I've ever had, because it was just it was on you. You're almost like an independent contractor. Go out and know every player in your area and determine who do you think is the best option for the Atlanta Braves. And I took a lot of pride in that.
Tell me about the culture in Atlanta then. They, of course, were dominating, winning their division every year. Bobby Cox, legendary manager, great rotation. We all know the names of the Braves in those days. But as an organization, there was always a lot of pride in player development in the Braves organization. You were part of that, kind of at the scouting level. I know '99 they lose in the World Series. You weren't there long enough to get a ring, as I recall, that when they were National League champs. But in terms of just the culture with the Braves that that Dayton brought to the Royals, as did you, because Dayton brought you over very soon after he came to KC.
Well, we were very fortunate to work for John Sherholtz, who, of course, is now in the Royals Hall of Fame. But John had gone over to Atlanta from Kansas City in '91. John just had a tremendous leadership quality about how he ran an organization. It was very businesslike. The expectations were high. You had to be ready for a question at any moment, and if you didn't have the answer, you better say, let me get back to you, because he didn't want the wrong answer or made-up answer. So it really started with John, and I think John had a great influence on Dayton. I'm sure Dayton would tell you the same thing. But what there was in Atlanta was this expectation of excellence. The Major League team was in its heyday. 14 straight division championships, 1 World Series, a couple lost World Series, but that expectation of excellence existed throughout the organization. And at the time, or at a certain point, I went to work in the front office and work with the farm system. We knew that our job was to be able to provide players for the Major League team that not only could play in the Major Leagues, but could uphold that standard of excellence. So we were very demanding in the minor leagues. We have a lot of coaches here to this day with the Royals that we got from Atlanta because we know how they operate. We know how much they care about the players, and they know that our expectation is excellence. And Dayton brought that over to Kansas City, and of course it took some time to eventually see, it happen in the major leagues. But we knew how to build a farm system. We always had good players in Atlanta, and we always had good players here in Kansas City.
We talked to J.J. Picollo during the delay, and you come to Kansas City. Tell me about the decision when Dayton said, hey, come join me, when Dayton came to KC in 2006.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting time because, John wanted me to stay in Atlanta. He wanted me, not necessarily Dayton was overseeing scouting and player development, but he wanted me to take that lead role in player development, which I know I would have really enjoyed. I had a lot of great relationships there. But Dayton, knowing that this was a new beginning and a big challenge and, just understanding, Dayton's expectations and his need to have some people that understood what he wanted to put in place seemed like the better choice for me. And fortunately, John Sherholtz allowed me to go. He didn't have to, but he allowed me to go after a tough conversation with him. But it was, the best decision for myself personally, knowing that we were joining an organization that was on the rise, and I just believed tremendously in what we could do there, and we could win the Central and win a World Series.
Tell me about what you guys walked into in 2006, 2007. It took quite a while to get winning seasons going, but you guys were really starting from the bottom up at that point.
Yeah, and I think there were some circumstances that really led to where the organization was. One, that the team was not owned by anybody for 6 years. So during that time before Mr. Glass became the owner, it took a little bit to get our footing and to get a foundation. And I think what Mr. Glass identified in Dayton is, here's somebody who has great knowledge in how to build a farm system, understands the scouting end of it, and really gave Dayton the ability to just run with it. And I think it took some years during the leaner years for Mr. Glass to turn that over to Dayton, in this case Dayton, and let him just do the things he was allowed to do. And ultimately it paid off.
So a lot of the core of the team that went to back-to-back World Series was joining the organization in your early years. Mike Moustakas, 2007. Eric Hosmer, 2008, Salvi signing back in those days, and there were trades that were made. Tell me about building that core. And again, it took several years. You guys were doing a lot kind of on the fly, and it was the duck's feet under the water were really going crazy when maybe big league results weren't reflecting what was going on underneath.
Yeah, well, we were if there is such a thing, the beneficiary of having a bad major league team is that we got a high pick at that time. There was no lottery, so if you had the worst record, you were picking first, and second worst record, you're picking second. So Derek Ladnier was our scouting director, and he was the one who selected Mike Moustakas, and previously had selected Zach Greinke, Alex Gordon. So there were some pieces there.
Billy
Butler as well. So there were some pieces there in place that certainly were part of when we did turn the corner. But selecting Mike Moustakas and Eric Hosmer, we know that really put us in the right direction, because those two were tremendous competitors. They expected their teammates to compete at a certain level, and we saw it in minor leagues. And it wasn't just those guys. There were plenty of guys that were later picks that had a great influence on our major league team, even if they hadn't played in the major leagues, because they were a great unit. I mean, they went through the minor leagues and won championships at every level. You don't do that as one first baseman or one third baseman. There were other guys that helped drive those guys, but the winning attitude and the winning culture, that's where it really began in the minor leagues with those players.
Of course, you guys, Dayton leading the way, but you guys made the trades, the big trades, the James Shields, Wade Davis trade, the Zach Greinke to Milwaukee deal. Tell me about being bold when you're kind of gathering nuts for winter, so to speak, with these draft picks and the minor league building up, and it's like, okay, it's time to reach out and go out on a limb and try to get better at the big league level.
Well, one of the trades that I hope gets the recognition that it deserves is trading Zach Greinke is one thing, but to get what we got in return is another thing, which was Lorenzo Cain and Alcides Escobar. They were able to go to the minor leagues and, for various periods of time. But, Zoe was down pretty much that whole first year with us and joined that group and finished his development. And Alcides was back and forth a little bit, if I remember correctly. But they were 2 additions to an already strong group of young players. But it wasn't until 2012 when we needed to make that splash. We knew we were close to winning. We didn't have the pitching that we thought would win a World Series. And, of course, the first goal was just to get to the playoffs. But I remember having discussions in the winter meetings where we wrote up on a board all of our prospects, and we had a really good farm system. It was really deep, and Dayton just went through the exercise. Okay, if he was gone, do we still have a good farm system? The answer was yes. But it was very clear that James Shields was the target for us. And it was very clear from Tampa's perspective that we had the farm system that they wanted to target to get something in return for Shields. Of course, they got Will Myers and others. And the other for us happened to be Wade Davis. So it was a pretty good other. And those guys fit in tremendously. And we sort of took off. 13 was a really good year because we were close. But then obviously 14 and 15, awesome.
As a close observer day after day in those years, I always felt there was a little bit of a weight that everybody carried because of the long playoff drought. Yeah. And I felt like the players carried that, the front office to some degree. Obviously, that weight thankfully fell off the shoulders in, 13, like you say, with a winning record, then 14, 15 getting the postseason, having those wonderful runs. But it was more than unfortunate. You try to look at it as today and not look at 10, 20, 25 years ago. Tell me about just the atmosphere and then the relief when the winning started.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I still get emotional, when I'm doing it right now. Watching the pop-up go up in Chicago when we clinched the playoffs, that was awesome because that's what you work for. And then, you go into the wild card game and the big hit there. And I think that was the one, like that hit was like, all right, this is house money now. Let's just go play. And we made that incredible run through 14 where we're just dominating. And we looked like a World Series championship team. And I think even though it didn't work out that year, we took that to heart. And I say the players did. They're really the ones who drove that. And from the time we arrived, Surprise Arizona that year, they were moving forward. They never looked back, and it was like, we're not going to come up short this year.
And it all culminated in 2015 with the World Series championship in New York. None of us will ever forget it who were there, and a lot of folks were watching on TV and shooting off fireworks in their backyards afterwards. And the level of satisfaction, I mean, everybody with any type of role in any organization has certain check marks of, okay, satisfaction for this and this and this. Yeah. But in the sports world, that's the ultimate, obviously.
Yeah, it is. And, you're in the moment, and you win the World Series. And we were together during that time. That month, you're just traveling together. You really don't have a lot of connection to the community at that time, other than the games at the ballpark. And I can remember where it really hit me. It was after 14 when we lost. The dads in the neighborhood, it was Halloween. We always go around and with the kids, and I started hearing the stories about, the watch parties in the neighborhoods and Power and Light and how much it meant to their family and taking their kids to a playoff game that they didn't get to go. It's been, 40 years since, or 30 years at the time, 40 now. 30 years since I went to a playoff game. You start hearing those things, you realize how impactful sports is. And, so 15 was even better. It was great because it was just this expectation the city had. It wasn't just the players, it was the fans. They expected us to win, and the players upheld their end of the bargain.
So the window with that group that won the World Series, there were injuries in 16 and 17 and the wear and tear of the super long postseason runs, and they're human. So the team was competitive, but kind of spun their wheels 16, 17, and then a lot of that core leaves after 17. Moose stays around a while longer, but most of those guys are gone. It was almost like senior day in college basketball when they left. It was sad. And, here you guys are trying to reload. And, baseball's an unfair game when you're in a small market. It's just the way it is. where, you can't just go buy the team and you're kind of not starting from scratch, but it was a challenge after that. Tell me about that challenge the front office faced in the late teens going into 2020 and the 2020s.
Well, we had made a decision during 16, 17, 18 that we were going to sort of keep the band together. We're going to make a run here. Right? And I remember Ned Yost in 16, his opening talk to the team was about, you win this year, now you start talking about a dynasty. A lot of like what the Chiefs are going through. Now you're talking about a dynasty. And that really kind of hit home. And I think when you think about keeping those players, I really believe it was the right thing for the team, in that time, because we thought we were the best team in the American League. And now we just need to go out and do it and win a World Series. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for various reasons. But then when those guys all left, you start to realize, all right, we've got an overhaul again. We got to start over. It's, who are our draft picks that are close to the major leagues? And, are they as impactful as the major leaguers we had before? And I certainly don't want it to be an excuse because every team went through it. But I really think COVID, played a role in how long it took us to get back to being competitive, because those guys, a lot of guys on our team right now, the Bobby Witts and the Pasquantinos and the Masseys and the Garcias and the Melendez, they didn't play a game that year. It was all practice games and inter squads, and that takes its toll. And those guys were just about to get there, and maybe we would have turned this corner a little bit quicker. But it was a, we don't like using the word, but it was a rebuild. We needed our farm system to come through, and I think we probably put some guys in positions that maybe they shouldn't have been in because we needed guys to help our big league team, and they might have needed a little bit more time in the minor leagues.
Talking to J.J. Picollo, so we're going to move on now to the role you have as running the baseball operation for the Royals. When John Sherman made that decision to elevate you to that role, we were all sort of surprised. We all knew you. We all had great confidence in you, but it's like, wow, J.J.'s in charge now. Tell me about the success and failure that you had experienced with the Royals going up to that point. One of the words that was used was transactional when you were hired at that point, because the Royals had gone through a very long building process when you first came to the Royals, and they were going through another longer process. And, of course, COVID, like you said, didn't help. But tell me about, taking over the whole thing and what that was like for you. Yeah, well, I had a chance in an assistant role to watch, observe, and, of course, I'd interviewed for a few other GM jobs. So you think about how would you do this if you ever had the opportunity to do it. Never in my wildest imagination would I think it would have been with the Royals under those circumstances. But, John had confidence not only in me, but a lot of the people are still here, so he clearly saw things that he liked, what was going on, and wanted to continue. The culture has always been strong. I mean, I think that's something that I'll say it's easy to do, but all you got to do is care. If you care, your culture is going to be strong. You draft and sign the right guys, the culture is going to continue. And, so we had that. But the challenges were different. What would I do differently? Did I have the courage to do it differently? I had some, definitive thoughts of things I wanted to do, building out some departments that may have been there, but really expanding what they do. In particular, the R&D department was one that we felt like we were in immediate need of really increasing employees to increase output, for our coaches, whether in scouts and all the different departments that R&D covers. The idea of a performance science team, it was in its infant stages. How do we bring that to another level? In our decision-making process, how can we include everybody and get everybody's perspective on what would make a good decision or a bad decision, or just getting a recommendation? So regardless of the decision, we've looked at every facet we possibly could to make those calls. And there was a little bit of a period of trying to figure out, all right, who's on board and who's not, because when you go through a change like that, you have to figure out, what are the pieces that need to stay in place and what changes do we need to make. So there were a lot of things. That was a tough time. And, of course, you're thinking now, like in my previous roles, I always obviously was aware of what's going on in the major leagues. But now it's like, you know what? This is about the major leagues. You just have a different perspective. So how can I communicate to our staffs across the board, like our primary goal and vision is serving the city of Kansas City and putting a good team on the field. We take a lot of pride in scouting and player development. That doesn't go away. That still needs to be a big part of it. But putting it at the very front center of everything is
having fans come into our ballpark and making some tougher decisions, which sometimes involves players that we've had for a number of years. And that's going to happen every year. But it was just a little bit of a shift, but there were a lot of things we did really well. We developed very well. Like I said, the culture is always good. The culture of caring, having really good people running the departments. We're never going to get away from pitching, defense, situational hitting, base running, make sure we're really good with those things. So there are a lot of things that are very similar, but just maybe the addition of many different jobs and the expansion of departments that I felt in that moment, that's where I had to focus.
And you did, and a lot of building went on in the next couple of years after you were hired. In 2024, the team makes a 30-win improvement, gets to the postseason, wins a postseason round. And, 9 years flies by since the team had been in the postseason. And it wasn't just you, it was a whole lot of people. But what did it mean to you to at least at that point, bring the team back to the postseason after a long drought?
Well, it was really cool. I mean, the year we had in 23 was really tough. But we also felt like we had pieces in place. I mean, I've said it a lot. We lost 106, but we didn't think we were a 106-loss team. We were not that bad. We just didn't have first 4 months were really tough. But the last 2 months were pretty good. And I think that gave us the courage to move forward and be active in free agency and try to win at a higher level. Now, none of us could have predicted what would have happened last year. But it's hard to, I'm proud of what we did as an organization. And it wasn't any one player, it wasn't any one decision. It was collectively what we did over a number of years. I mean, 46% of our playoff roster was homegrown. That says a lot about scouting and player development. And another 23% of that roster was acquired via players that we drafted and developed. So, that's a pretty large percentage that is reflective of scouting and player development. But when we finally made the playoffs, it certainly is, you're happy for the players, you're happy for the coaches, you're happy for the entire organization, you're happy for the city. But then the next thing was we really wanted to get a home game. We all remember how electric Kauffman Stadium is in the playoffs. And I made a promise to myself, I didn't share this with anybody, that if we get a home game, sometime close to game time, I'm going to walk around the stadium because I wanted to feel it. I wanted to see how happy people were because that's really what I think about a lot. And, that 15-minute little walk around the stadium was pretty cool to see. And it didn't go our way, but it certainly motivates us moving forward.
Well, JJ, we really appreciate your time as this delay has continued, sharing your story with us, which continues on. But thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Enjoyed it.
Delay indeed. And there, of course, JJ Picollo, the Royals general manager, and it's a great life in baseball. Always interesting to hear people's backstories and what they've been through and what brought them to where they are right now. Here in Detroit, we have some good news for you. We have a start time. It'll be a 1:15 start Kansas City time as the tarp is off the field. They're working on the field after a long rain delay. Right now we pause for station identification on the Royals Baseball Network. Live from the IBEW Local 124 broadcast booth, Steve Stewart, Jake Eisenberg, our producer-engineer Eric Guthrie. We are being prepared now for a 1:15 start Kansas City time, so just 17 minutes to go. Jake and I will rejoin you as we continue in a moment as we get ready for Getaway Day, the finale of the series, Royals and Tigers, here on the Royals Baseball Network.
.net.
So we're counting down to baseball, a 1:15 start. Kansas City time after a long day of rain here in Detroit. Lots of rain the last 3 days. Right now we're going to take a break as we get you ready for the Royals and the Tigers here on the Royals Baseball Network.
Advertisements.
All throughout Kansas City. And lighting up more than 75 radio frequencies across the Midwest. And that ball is gone! This is Kansas City Royals baseball.
Royals win it. The Texas blast for Bobby Witt Jr.
Salvi swings, and there it goes.
Michael Garcia comes through again. 10 strikeouts for Cole Reagans this afternoon.
Pasquantino delivers again.
Estevez gets him with high heat.
What a job by Lugo and Ursay.
A game winner for Jonathan India.
The Royals Baseball Network is presented by Stayco Electric Construction Company, the official electric contractor of the Kansas City Royals. Wholesale batteries, any battery, anytime, delivered anywhere at wholesalebatteries.net. Bob Allen Ford, make your perfect play at boballenford.com. Hawthorne Bank, start connecting to what's possible. Hawthorne Bank, member FDIC. Also by IBEW Local 124, providing the best opportunities in the electrical field of construction for over a century. The law offices of Mark Ferguson, Schneider Trucking, American Topsoil, soil delivered, soil installed. And by Our Farm Distilling. From field to finish, they own the process at ourfarmdistilling.com.
And we're getting you closer to baseball coming up at 1:15 Kansas City time. Steve Stewart with you here. The starting lineups for today. First for the Royals, Matt Quattro's club, 7 and 11. Michael Garcia leads off, plays third base. Batting second, it's the shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. Batting third at first base, Vinny Pasquantino. The cleanup hitter, the DH, Salvador Perez. Batting fifth and catching, Carter Jensen. Batting sixth at second base, Jonathan India. Batting seventh in right field, Jack Caglione. Hitting eighth in left field, Michael Massey. And batting ninth in center field, it's Kyle Isbell with Chris Bubich on the hill. Again for KC, Garcia, Witt, Pasquantino, Perez, Jensen, India, Caglione, Massey, and Isbell. A.J. Hinch is the Tigers manager. They're 9 and 9, and Gleyber Torres leads off for them. He'll be at second base. Batting second at third base, it's Kevin McGonigal. Hitting third, the DH, Jahmai Jones. The cleanup hitter is the catcher, Dylan Dingler. Batting fifth in left field, Riley Green. Hitting sixth in center field, Matt Vierling. Batting seventh at first base, Spencer Torkelson. Batting eighth in right field, Wenzel Perez. And hitting ninth, it's the shortstop, Javier Baez. Cater Montero is their starting pitcher. The umpires today, the crew chief behind home plate is Andy Fletcher. Derek Thomas at first base, Corey Blazer second base, Jansen Visconti, the umpire, at third base. It's the Royals and the Tigers, the finale of the series, and Jake Eisenberg joins you in a moment.
for details.
Good afternoon and welcome to Comerica Park. Thanks for hanging out with us during today's rain delay. We are almost ready for first pitch for today's series finale between the Kansas City Royals and the Detroit Tigers. Along with Steve Stewart and our producer-engineer Eric Guthrie, I'm Jake Eisenberg. We're coming to you live from the IBEW Local 124 broadcast booth. The Royals enter today's game at 7-11, fourth place in the American League Central, 3.5 games back of the somewhat surprisingly first place Minnesota Twins. Those Twins are 11-8 so far this season. That is, in fact, the best record in the American League. It's the Guardians in second place. Then it's the Tigers in third. They're 9-9. Third place in the Central at a game and a half back. They've won 5 straight games, however. Then it's the Royals, and then the White Sox are in fifth early on this season at 6-12. The Royals have dropped the first 2 games of this 3-game series by identical 2-1 final scores, and those games have concluded in almost identical fashion. In each of the last 2 games, the Royals have given up the lead in the bottom of the 8th inning, or more accurately, the Tigers have taken the lead in the bottom of the 8th inning, and then the Royals in the top of the 9th have stranded the potential tying run at third to end the game. And so the Royals have dropped the first 2 of this series and try to avoid being swept today at Comerica Park. Right-hander Kader Montero is on the mound for the Tigers, 25-year-old from Venezuela. He makes his 3rd start of the season. He enters with a 1.74 ERA. Most of that is thanks to his most recent start, 6 scoreless innings against the Marlins the last time he took the mound. In the bottom of the first inning, we'll see left-hander Chris Bubich. He makes his 4th start of the season and enters with a 2.50 ERA. He enjoyed the best start of his big league career to date the last time he was on the hill. 7 scoreless innings. He struck out a career-high 11 batters. The Royals today are in their royal blue tops, gray pants, thick royal blue stripe down the side of each leg. Kansas City in block white letters in an arc across the chest with white numbers on the lower left side of the jersey and on the back. When the Royals take the field, they'll do so in the royal blue caps with a white button and the interlocking white KC logo on the front panel. Meanwhile, the Tigers are in their home whites, tops and bottoms, thin navy stripe down the side of each leg, navy capital Old English D on the upper left side of the chest, navy numbers on the back with a navy nameplate as well. Navy caps with the white capital D Old English logo on the front panel. 66 degrees in Detroit just before first pitch. It is still spritzing a little bit, so there is a tiny bit of precipitation just as the ball game begins. Michael Garcia steps to the plate. Righty-righty matchup with Kader Montero. He's into his windup and the first pitch. It's over the inner edge, a called strike, 0-1, and officially a delay of 1 hour and 5 minutes today at Comerica Park. Montero delivers again, and Garcia slices it foul out of play off to the right. It's 0-2. It's been a tough series for Garcia. He's 0 for 8 through the first 2 games, and that extends a hitless skid. He's actually 0 for his last 12 overall. He's reached base twice in that span on an error and a walk. Montero delivers, and Garcia punches it foul out of play off to the right. Still no balls and 2 strikes. These two are very familiar with each other. They played together in March with Team Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic. Montero pitched in a couple of games for Team Venezuela and made 1 start. Here's the pitch. Garcia chops it down the third base line. It's a fair ball. McGonigal backhands in foul ground, plants and throws to first in time to get Garcia. That was a terrific play from Kevin McGonigal, who snared it on 1 long bounce. And as it was in the air, it bounced right over the bag. The third base umpire, Jansen Visconti, emphatically pointed fair. And McGonigal was playing through it the whole way. And he threw that from about 3 or 4 feet into foul territory. Long throw, 1 up, 1 down to begin today's ball game. Brings up Bobby Witt Jr. And the first pitch. Over the outer edge, called strike 1. Along with Kevin McGonigal at third, the Tigers have Javier Baez at shortstop today. Gleyber Torres plays second base, currently positioned up the middle. Spencer Torkelson plays first. Dylan Dingler catching. The pitch. Fastball high, and it's 1-1. Riley Green's out in left field. Matt Vierling is in center. And Wenzel Perez, who hit the go-ahead home run last night, is in right field. 1 ball, 1 strike on Bobby Witt Jr. Montero delivers. Fastball letter high, called strike, and it's 1-2. Witt triggered but did not swing. He's 1 for 8 in this series. Oh, he was 0 for 4 yesterday. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Well, Witt got fooled on a breaking ball by Cater Montero. Slider down and away, and Witt was flailing at it a bit. So 2 up, 2 down for Cater Montero. That's K-E-I-D-E-R. Cater. Brings up Vinny Pasquantino with the bases empty and 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Pasquantino tries to bunt. He pops up the bunt foul, third base side. It goes into the seats behind the Tigers dugout. 0-1. And the Tigers infield is playing back and pulled around to the right side. Kevin McGonigal's playing deep at short. So Pasquantino thought about a bunt hit. He does have 1 of those already this season. Montero delivers. Low and inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Scoreless game, top of the first inning. Just underway at Comerica Park after a rain delay of 1 hour and 15 minutes. Here's the pitch. Pasquantino pops it up foul, third base side. It twists out of play into the dark green seats. Still 1-2. Now, the rain delay that the Royals waded through today, it's actually the 3rd three-game rain delay for the Royals in their last 5 games. So they've gotten, unfortunately, used to it. Here's the pitch. Fastball just low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. There was a brief delay on Saturday, 25 minutes. A long delay on Sunday. That was a 3-hour delay. And then an hour and 15-minute delay today. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Pasquantino. Here's the pitch. He pops it up first base side, foul territory, and it floats out of play. Another foul ball, still 2-2. So every pitch that Pasquantino has offered at in his plate appearance, he's fouled off, whether it was the bunt attempt on the first pitch or now the 3 that he's taken a full swing at since. The 2-2 again. Popped up foul, third base side out of play. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes on Vinny Pasquantino. Now the hope for Vinny is that yesterday's triple helped break him out of a funk that has been going on since the beginning of the season, but especially lately. His 8th inning triple snapped an 0 for 20 stretch. Another 2-2. Fastball inside, and the count's now full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Now Pasquantino, the plate appearance before he tripled last night, he drew a walk. So a sign that he's starting to see the ball better. The pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Montero gets him with a changeup, and that ends the inning. Well, back-to-back strikeouts for Cater Montero, and ultimately he faces the minimum in the top of the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We go to the bottom of the first in Detroit. Royals nothing. Tigers coming up. Chris Bubich to the mound.
years.
We go to the bottom of the first inning at Comerica Park. The Royals went down in order in the top of the first. And now 28-year-old lefty Chris Bubic takes the mound, his 4th start of the season. He enters with a 2.50 ERA in his 3 starts, 18 total innings. Bubic has struck out 23 and walked 7. Opponents are batting a paltry 131 against him. And in the bottom of the first inning, he faces Gleyber Torres, Kevin McGonigal, and Jahmai Jones, the top third of Tigers manager A.J. Hinch's lineup. First, Torres, a right-hand hitter, open stance, high bat waggle. Bubic delivers, and it's a first pitch fastball over the outer edge, called strike 1. Bubic was at his best the last time he took the mound. It was the 83rd start of his big league career, and to this point, the best. He delivers. Breaking ball down and in. Torres triggered but didn't swing, and it's 1-1. Bubic against the White Sox delivered 7 shutout innings. The 7 innings completed tied a career high. He had 11 strikeouts. That was a career best. The pitch. Up and away. 2 balls and a strike on Gleyber Torres. And it wasn't just the final line, the total numbers: 7 innings, 2 hits allowed, 11 Ks, 1 walk, and most importantly, no runs. Bubic delivers. A little bit high, 3-1. But Bubic did not allow a hit in that start until the 5th inning. He'd only allowed 1 base runner until the 5th inning, and that was a first inning walk. 3 balls and a strike on Gleyber Torres. The pitch. Punched foul out of play off to the right, and it's 3-2. Now, Bubic's first inning against the White Sox, he needed 23 pitches, and that was as taxed as he was all evening. He only threw 65 pitches over his final 6 innings. Full count on Gleyber Torres, leading off the bottom of the first. Here's the pitch. And it's just low and outside, ball 4. Bubic tried to clip the corner with a fastball and barely missed. Close enough that had Salvador Perez, or rather had Carter Jensen decided to challenge, that might have been overturned. But in the bottom of the first inning, Jensen declines the challenge. Torres draws a leadoff walk. Brings up lefty Kevin McGonigal. Here's the pitch. A little bit high, ball 1. It is Carter Jensen behind the plate today. Salvador Perez is the designated hitter. Day game after a night game for the Royals. The 1-0 pitch. Flipped foul, third base side off the top of the netting. And it's 1-1 on McGonigal. Then it's Vinny Pasquantino at first base. He holds Torres on. Jonathan India plays second base today. Bobby Witt Jr. is the shortstop, currently positioned up the middle. Michael Garcia playing off the line at third. The 1-1. Slider dives over the low outside corner, called strike 1 and 2.
The field is a strike. The hitter's challenging.
And Kevin McGonigal's challenging. So he does not have an issue with a first inning challenge. McGonigal did try to challenge yesterday, and he was wrong. In this case, he's correct. So instead of 1 and 2, it's 2 and 1. And McGonigal's aggressiveness pays off. Here's the pitch. Just off the plate away, 3 balls and a strike.
Pitch is called a ball. The catcher's challenging.
And now Carter Jensen decides to challenge, though that pitch did not look nearly as close as ball 4 to Torres. It comes in virtually, and it was outside a ball.
Kansas City has 1 challenge remaining.
So Jensen is incorrect. It is a 3-1 count. Well, that's interesting. Bubic delivers. And McGonigal chops it foul first base side, 3-2. It's interesting that Jensen would not have challenged what was ball 4 to Gleyber Torres and looked an eyelash low at best. But he did challenge that last pitch to McGonigal. Would have taken a 3-1 count and made it 2-2. Both in the bottom of the first inning, both early. It's almost as if Carter Jensen saw McGonigal's successful challenge and thought, hey, I could do that too. Full count on McGonigal. Runner on first. Nobody out, bottom of the first inning. The pitch. And McGonigal flares it shallow center field. Kyle Isbell darts in. He makes the catch. And McGonigal's out, 1 away. Along with Kyle Isbell in center, the Royals have Jack Caglione in right. He was impressive yesterday. And Michael Massey gets the start in left field. Runner on first, 1 out. Bottom of the first inning, scoreless game. And Jahmai Jones steps to the plate for the Tigers. He's their DH today. This is his first start of the season. Bubic delivers. And Jones hits it on the ground towards shortstop. Witt scoops it up over to second for 1. Relay to first. In time for 2. An inning-ending double play. Chris Bubic needs just 1 pitch to the Tigers' number 3 hitter. And he gets out of the bottom of the first unscathed despite the leadoff walk. He faces the minimum to boot. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. We go to the second. The Royals and Tigers are scoreless. Calling all deadheads. Your favorite 3-night return to the K Monday, April 20th at 6:40 when the Royals face the Orioles. Take home a special co-branded Royals and Grateful Dead vest with the purchase of a themed ticket. Visit Royals.com/Grateful Dead. Gonna have to get Q one of those. He's a bit of a deadhead. First pitch to Salvador Perez. He checks his swing and a pitch inside, ball 1. The Royals and Tigers are scoreless. Top of the second inning now at Comerica Park. Well, frankly, to say a bit of a deadhead is a bit of an understatement for Royals manager Matt Quatrero. The pitch. That skips in. 2 balls, no strikes. Now, more often than not, he's wearing some Dancing Bear socks. And he's got some Grateful Dead stuff in his office back at Kauffman Stadium. Two balls, no strikes on Salvador Perez. And Montero delivers. Fastball ripped to the left side. Baez dives, snares it on the backhand from his knees, loops the throw to first. It's high. Salvi sneaks by a tag attempt. Dive back to the base. He's safe. Spencer Torkelson leapt to grab Baez's high throw, and then on his way down tried to tag Salvi, who avoided the tag but missed the base on the way to first. And then he dove back to the back point of first base. He might have jammed his finger a little bit. Matt Quatrero is out of the dugout to check on him, along with assistant athletic trainer Chris DeLucia. Baez made a terrific stop on the left side just to keep that ball in the infield. Even though he had time to get to his feet and throw to first, he decided to kind of sidearm whip a throw from his knees. And it was off target and high. It was a great effort by Torkelson at first just to make it close. First pitch to Carter Jensen. And a breaking ball stays outside, ball 1.
Looked like Torkelson might have gotten him with his elbow as he was reaching across the bag trying to tag Salvi, and he kind of went on top of Salvi's hand right there.
The pitch. Jensen lifts it deep to right field. Wenzel Perez angles toward the corner. He has room to make the catch. He does. And Jensen's out, 1 away. Well, it's a leadoff infield hit for Salvador Perez. He's just fine after the quick visit from Chris DeLucia. Fly out for Jensen, and now Jonathan India steps to the plate. The runner on first and 1 out, top of the 2nd inning. Scoreless game at Comerica Park. Here's the pitch. That's high, ball 1. So far, first 3 hitters in this inning have been aggressive. If Montero has put it in the strike zone, the Royals have put it in play. Otherwise, every pitch the Royals have let go by in this inning has been out of the zone. The pitch. Fastball up and in. 2 balls, no strikes on Jonathan India. So Montero has yet to throw a called strike in this inning. Here's the pitch. India pops it up into the clouds. Left side of the infield. Javier Baez drifts onto the infield grass. He makes the catch staring through sunglasses, and India's out, 2 away. It might be very cloudy, and the stadium lights are on, but it's one of those bright, cloudy days. There's a cloudy glare. One of those days where you have sunglasses on and you take them off and then you squint, so you put them back on, but then it's too dark and you take them off again. It's kind of in between. First pitch now to Jack Caglione. Fastball grounded to the right side, goes through Salvi's leg. Torkelson backhands behind him, takes it to the back himself for the out. Inning over. So some deft footwork from Salvador Perez, both to be safe at first to start the inning and then to avoid the sharp grounder. But ultimately, Salvi gets stranded at first. No runs a hit, no errors, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 2nd. The Royals and Tigers remain scoreless.
Home.
Rep your Roo pride at the ballpark for UMKC night. Join us Saturday, April 25th. The Royals host the Angels at 6:10. Take home an exclusive Royals and UMKC co-branded tumbler when you purchase a theme ticket. Visit Royals.com/UMKC. Chris Bubic faces Dylan Dingler. First pitch. And Dingler breaks his bat, flares it shallow right center field. India angles back, and he makes an over-the-shoulder grab. He kept sight of it the whole time. And just over his left shoulder, angling a little bit back towards center, he reached out to make the catch. It wasn't quite Willie Mays style like we see Bobby Witt Jr. do quite often, but that was a terrific grab from Jonathan India. 1 pitch, 1 out for Bubic in the bottom of the 2nd. First pitch to Riley Green. That's down and in, ball 1.
You could almost call it Witt-esque.
Witt-esque, yeah. Scoreless game, bottom of the 2nd in Detroit. Series finale today. Bubic delivers, and Green triggers, doesn't swing. He takes inside. 2 balls, no strikes.
Hey, the lack of hitting has not affected the Royals' defensive efforts. They've made a lot of great plays throughout this first part of the year and even in this series.
Here's the pitch. Down and in, 3 balls, no strikes. Now, there are really 3 keys to close, low-scoring games. The primary is really good pitching, which we've seen in this series from both teams. Bubic delivers, and Green takes a strike. It's 3-1. The second is excellent defense. We've seen that in this series, too. And the third is, well, hand-in-hand with good pitching, maybe scuffling hitting. The 3-1 over the outer edge, a called strike, 3-2. And we have certainly seen that in this series, and certainly on the Royals side of things, though it's not like the Tigers have been offensive world beaters either. They scored 4 total runs in this series. The payoff pitch. Fouled in and out of Jensen's mid. Green stays alive, still 3-2. Of course, the Royals have only scored 2 total runs in this series. Back-to-back 2-1 losses. And in almost identical fashion and feeling. The payoff pitch. Fastball high, and that's ball 4. So Bubic issues his second walk of the afternoon. Runner on first with 1 out for Matt Vierling. Well, the Royals in back-to-back games have watched the Tigers take the lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. On Tuesday, the Tigers came from behind in the 8th. Last night, the Tigers broke a tie game and took the lead. First pitch to Vierling. That's in the dirt. Jensen scoops it up. Ball 1. But in both games, the Tigers have taken the lead in the 8th inning and then hung on in the top of the 9th, while the Royals have stranded the potential tying run at third base in back-to-back games in the top of the 9th against future Hall of Famer Kenley Jansen. Here's the pitch. Over the inner edge, a called strike, and it's 1-1 on the right-handed hitting Matt Vierling. He did not play yesterday. He was in the starting lineup on Tuesday when the Royals had lefty Cole Reagans on the mound. A.J. Hinch is penciled in his righty platoon lineup. The pitch. Vierling swings and misses at a good changeup, and it's 1-2. Last year was a bit of a lost season for Matt Vierling. He only played 31 games. Dealt with a rotator cuff injury at the beginning of the year. Also had an oblique injury at 2 separate points. Bubic delivers, down and away, 2-2. But over the course of the season, in his 31 games, he did see action in a bunch of different spots, and already this year he's played all 4 outfield spots. Today he's in center. The 2-2. Sweeper stays outside, and the count's full on Matt Vierling. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Early on, Bubic does not have his sharpest command. He's thrown 26 pitches, but only 12 of them have been for strikes. Riley Green leads off first with 1 out in the bottom of the 2nd. Scoreless game. The pitch. Changeup hit on the ground toward third. Garcia scoops it up. Over to second for 1. Relay to first is not in time. Vierling beat it out. He hit it off the end of the bat, and so it didn't get to Garcia all that quickly. And of course, he had to throw it a little bit of a further distance to get it to Jonathan India at second base. Relay was good, but Vierling was quick enough up the line to avoid the double play. So 2 outs in the bottom of the 2nd. Runner on first for Spencer Torkelson. First pitch. Sweeper dives in for a strike, and it's 0-1. Well, not only have the Royals and Tigers played back-to-back 1-run games, but they have made quite the habit out of close games. Not just 1-run games, but games decided by 2 runs or fewer. Here's the pitch. Torkelson checks his swing. Might have gotten a piece of it. Doesn't matter. Appeal to first, and Torkelson did swing. So it's 0-2. The Royals and Tigers have played games decided by 2 runs or fewer in 12 of their last 13 games against each other. Go back a little further, 17 of the last 20 between these 2 teams have been that close. The pitch. Low and inside. Good pickup from Jensen. Bierling started, then stopped. He thought that might have gotten further away from Jensen than it did. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the Tigers have the edge in these close games. In the 17 games decided by 2 runs or fewer, in the last 20, the Tigers have won 12 of them. Toss to first, and Bierling's back standing. And you look at how the last season and a half has unfolded. And the Tigers last year were the best team in the division for the vast majority of the year until they floundered in September. And they had a tremendous run at the end of 2024. The pitch. It's in the dirt. Skips away from Jensen all the way to the backstop. Bierling takes second. That's a changeup in the dirt. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes on Spencer Torkelson. So the Tigers don't have a hit, but they have a runner in scoring position in this inning, thanks to a walk, a fielder's choice, and now a wild pitch. The 2-2. Breaking ball lifted down the left field line toward the corner. Massey sprints over. It's out of his reach and gets past him and rolls all the way to the fence. Bierling scores easily from second. Torkelson replaces him there with a 2-out RBI double. And the Royals are down 1-0 in the bottom of the second inning. Well, Massey's only chance to keep the run off the board was to make the catch, which would have taken a diving try, and even if he had tried to dive, he likely would have come up empty. If Bierling's at first base, maybe Massey takes a bit of a different angle, but even then, off on contact with 2 outs, Bierling still likely scores from first. So the Royals are down 1-0. First pitch now to Wenzel Perez. And there's a changeup low, ball 1. So if the Royals want to win today, and they do, of course, and avoid a sweep, they will need to score at least 2 runs. Bubic delivers. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. This is the Royals' 19th game of the year. And in the first 18 games this season, the Royals have scored 2 or fewer runs 11 times. The pitch. Over the outside edge, a called strike, and it's 2-1 on Wenzel Perez. He had the go-ahead home run in the 8th inning yesterday. Went down and got an Eli Morgan changeup and golfed it into the 3rd row in right. Here's the pitch. Fouled straight back, 2-2. That was Wenzel Perez's first hit this season. He just got called up from AAA Toledo on Friday to replace Parker Meadows, who was going to be out for most of the year with a fractured forearm after an outfield collision last week. Perez is a switch hitter. He's batting right-handed here. The 2-2. Poke to left center field. Kyle Isbell glides over, reaches out, and makes the grab on the run. Perez is retired, and that ends the inning. But the Tigers do grab the lead on a 2-out RBI double from Spencer Torkelson. 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left. We go to the 3rd. Tigers 1, Royals nothing.
10.
We go to the third inning at Comerica Park. Overcast, a little bit dreary, raining all day. The tarp was on the field, and now we're in 5-minute delay. That is baseball in April in the American League Central, Stu, isn't it?
It sure is. And again, we're just happy it's not too cold here. Actually, it's pretty pleasant today in the 60s. And the Royals are down 1-0 as they'll come up in the third inning against Cater Montero and Michael Massey getting ready to lead things off. The Royals ahead to New York tonight, and they'll play the Yankees. A night game tomorrow, and then day games both Saturday and Sunday in the Bronx as the Royals send Michael Wacha, Noah Cameron, and Cole Reagans to the mound this weekend in New York to face Cam Schlittler tomorrow night, and then Will Warren on Saturday, and then the lefty Ryan Weathers on Sunday. We have a little bit of a delay here before we start the inning. It's like an umpire.
It's unclear why. Maybe we're waiting on one of the umpires.
So tomorrow will be a 6:05 start. Kansas City Town will be on at 5:30. Then 12:35 first pitches both Saturday and Sunday from the Bronx.
Stu, I'm looking at home plate umpire Andy Fletcher. He's the crew chief. He was just kind of joking with the Tigers dugout. They were pointing to their wrists, I think trying to ask if umpires get a pitch clock violation.
Yeah, no kidding. What would be the penalty? I don't know. It's they're the only folks that are out on the field for all 17 or 18 half innings.
Here's we're waiting for Jansen Visconti, the third base umpire.
We are awaiting the start of the third inning here in Detroit. We had a rain delay of 65 minutes. So we started at 1:15 Kansas City time, and we're getting ready to start the third inning with Michael Massey, Kyle Isbell, and Michael Garcia. And if somebody gets on Bobby Witt Jr. in this inning, the Royals are down 1-0. They've scored 2 runs total in this series so far, 1 in each of the first 2 games. Trying to get on the board here in the third. Meanwhile, the pitcher Montero is taking all the warm-up tosses he needs, and he's just kind of walking around the back of the pitcher's mound. He squatted for a moment, and we're all just kind of waiting for. We had a rain delay, now we have an umpire delay.
Well, there's going to be a sarcastic cheer when Jansen Visconti comes back onto the field. Now look, when presumably nature calls, you better pick up the phone and answer.
So is it Andy Fletcher, the home plate umpire?
Oh, you're right.
Chief? Maybe it is.
It's Visconti that's by home plate right now, holding the baseballs. It is.
So that could have been an equipment issue.
It is the crew chief, Andy Fletcher.
Hope he's okay. It's just an equipment issue or something, or whatever. So I want to remind you, the Royals will be home all next week. We'd love to see you at Kauffman Stadium, as the Orioles will be in Monday night, Tuesday night, then next Wednesday afternoon. 6:40 starts Monday, Tuesday. Orioles game next Wednesday will be 1:10, and then a week from Friday the Angels come in, and that Angels weekend series that begins on the Friday the 24th will be 3 night games. Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. It will be a Sunday night game, as the Royals will be on national television on that Sunday night, the 26th, against the Angels. So 6:40, 6:10, and 6:20 will be the start times when the Angels are in. So a 6-game homestand beginning next Monday, Kauffman Stadium, the Orioles and the Angels. And this delay continues. And now one of the umpires is headed over toward the first base side, and so there's some confusion here, and we're just waiting for the start of the third inning. The Royals have had 1 base runner today, Salvador Perez, an infield hit leading off the second inning. He got to first, but the next 3 batters all retired. Meanwhile, Chris Bubich has walked a couple of batters already today. He walked the first man he faced, Gleyber Torres, in the first inning. He raced him with a double play to get out of that inning, but then a walk in the second inning hurt him. With 1 out, he walked Riley Green, and then Bierling replaced him at first on a fielder's choice. But that walk, in effect, turned into a run on an RBI double by Spencer Torkelson, and so the Tigers have a 1-0 lead. Do we have our 4 umps now?
We do. Andy Fletcher has reappeared.
Very good.
Now, the irony is that we don't actually know what the issue was, and the only person that can tell us is Andy Fletcher. He's got the mic back.
That's right.
As the crew chief.
He's the crew chief. He's got a mic on his hip. But he will conveniently leave the microphone off and just maybe tell the guys in the batter's box what was going on. But so Massey is in the batter's box for the first time today. He is 2 for 12 on the young season. Began the year on the injured list. Playing left field today, facing the righty Cater Montero, whose first pitch is at the knees, a called strike. Fastball at 93 miles an hour to Massey.
Better challenging.
So now a challenge from Michael Massey, and he is rewarded. It's overturned, and it is ball one. It was a little bit low, so ball one on Massey.
Yeah, Massey's 1 for 1 in challenges in his career.
And because the Royals are down to 1 challenge because they lost one earlier. Here's the 1-0. And it's outside, and it's 2-0 on Massey.
Tough sequence for Andy Fletcher, trying to get back onto the field, no doubt as quick as possible. First pitch of the inning, overturned.
2-0 on Massey. Here's the pitch, and he takes a breaking ball for a strike. Massey, since the beginning of 24, 152 hits, 46 of those for extra bases. So about 30% of his hits the last couple of years have been extra base hits. Next one, swing and a miss at a fastball. 2-2 after falling behind Massey 2-0. Cater Montero has the count even. Massey, Izzy, Garcia. They play Massey to hit the other way in the outfield in the pitch, and he takes one a little bit high. The change that time, full count on Massey. Montero, the 25-year-old right-hander, delivers, and a swing and a miss. Massey down on strikes. So there's the third strikeout on the day for Cater Montero. Like a two-seamer that caught the inside part of the plate. So Massey down on strikes. And now it's Kyle Isbell. He broke an 0 for 14 with an RBI single in the 5th inning last night. Here he looks at a strike. His RBI single drove in the Royals' lone run in a 2-1 loss last night. Trying to get on with 1 out. Here in the 3rd inning. Infield shades him around to the right. Here's the pitch. And it's a fastball and a called strike on Isbell, who's hitting .317 on the year. 2 homers, a double. He's drawn 4 walks, and he's stolen 4 bases. And the 0-2, and a swing. And a fly ball toward right center on the run, and closing and diving and making the catch is Matt Bierling in the alley in right center. So one center fielder robs another, and 2 up, 2 down for the Royals to begin this 3rd inning. Bierling, the center fielder, able to make the play. So back to the top of the order, and Michael Garcia, who's been off to a really good start this year, but in this series things have quieted down for him. He has yet to get a hit. He did reach on an error in the first game of the series. He fouls the first pitch off. So he's 0 for 9 in the series now, and 0 for his last 13 overall. He hit .357 against the Tigers last year. 3 homers, OPS north of 1100. So he really did well against them. And in his career, .326 is his career average against these guys. But this week it's been quiet so far. 0-1 the count. And the pitch to Garcia. Swing, and he slices it foul down the right side, and that'll find the seats. Bobby Witt Jr. is on deck. Nobody on, 2 down here in the top of the 3rd. Garcia waits. 0-2 the count. Montero delivers, and a slider misses down and away, and it's 1-2. The Royals are 29th in baseball in runs scored. Only the Giants have scored fewer runs. The Royals scored 56 times, the Giants 55 times. Here's the pitch, and a swing and a miss at a slider and a strikeout, and that ends the inning. The 4th strikeout for Cater Montero as he Ks Garcia. 2 more Ks in that 3rd inning. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. It's 1-0 Detroit. Before we start the home third inning, let's pause for station identification on the Royals Baseball Network. Coming to you live from the IBEW Local 124 broadcast booth. It's the Royals and Tigers. Finale of the series. Royals trying to avoid a sweep. Tigers lead 1-0, and Javier Baez, their veteran infielder, outfielder, will lead off this third inning and look at a strike from Chris Bubic. Baez playing shortstop today. He's hitting .295 on the season. A homer, 4 doubles. And the next pitch, and a wave and a miss, change, a pitch that Bubic primarily features against the right-handed batters. Bubic has not struck out a batter yet. He's issued 2 walks. Time called by the hitter. Infield shades Baez around to the left. Vinny is way off the bag at first. 0-2. Bubic delivers. And a swing, and that's a foul tip strikeout. Right into Carter Jensen's mitt. There's the first strikeout of the day for Chris Bubic. Bubic, 8 starts, 11 appearances in his career against Detroit, 2-1 with a .245 ERA. Gleyber Torres, the leadoff hitter in their lineup, stands in, takes one inside. Torres walked his first time up today. Since the start of the 21 season, Bubic is 2-1 with a .193 against the Tigers. He's really dominated them. 1-0 and the pitch. And it catches the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike on right-handed hitting Gleyber Torres, who's 3 for 8 in the series. 1-1. Chris Bubic comes set, now deals. And a swing and a bouncer toward third, charging in Garcia. Gloves, fires across to Pasquantino and gets Torres for the out. So a strikeout and a ground out. 2 down. Bubic has not had a 1-2-3 inning yet. Royals rotation is number 1, numero uno in ERA, 2.64, leading the major leagues. 10 quality starts. That's 3rd best in the major leagues. Here's McGonigal, the rookie infielder, taking a pitch inside. He's playing third base today. He's already made a sparkling play over there. He lined out to center his first time up today. Left-handed hitter, a day after signing a $150 million contract extension with these Tigers. And he takes a pitch a little bit high. 2-0 the count on McGonigal, who went 1 for 3 with a walk yesterday. He's hitting .313. A small sample. 2-0, and there's a called strike.
You're a 21-year-old who just made his major league debut, and you just signed a contract for $150 million total over the next 8 years. What do you buy?
Including a $14 million bonus. 2-1, and the pitch, and a swing, and a little flare, shallow right. Coming in and making the catch is Jack Caglione. And Chris Bubic has his first 1-2-3 inning on the day. The answer is almost whatever you want. We go to the 4th. It's 1-0 Detroit. The fan favorite Pasquatch now has his very own bobblehead equipped with real fur. This bobblehead can be yours Tuesday, May 26th, 6:40, Royals and the Yankees. Be one of the first 20,000 fans of the K to claim your Pasquatch bobblehead. For tickets, visit royals.com/promotions. Bobby Witt Jr. leads off inning number 4. Royals are down 1-0. Bobby hitting .254. He has hits in 13 of 18 games. 0 for 1 with a strikeout today. First pitch from Montero, taken for a strike by Bobby. Tied for the major league lead with 8 stolen bases. Still only 1 run scored. Here playing in his 19th game. Here's the pitch and a swing and a foul out of play off to the right. By the way, I had to look, Jake, to remind myself when he scored that run. It was the 3rd game of the year in Atlanta, that Sunday getaway day, which was a win, finishing a series on the road, something the Royals are hoping to do today. He drew a leadoff walk in the 8th inning of that March 29th game, so he hasn't scored an April run yet. There's a swing and a foul out of play off to the right, but he came around to score, has not scored since. And he's going to score a whole bunch here pretty soon. We know that, just a matter of when.
Now, what you're saying to me, the Royals are undefeated when Bobby Witt Jr. scores a run.
That's true.
In 2026.
That's quite a trend we're observing. 0-2 on him right now. And the pitch. And a swing and a liner down the left field line. That's down for it. That'll be extra bases. He rounds first, heads for second. Riley Green digs it out of the left field corner. Bobby will throw out the anchor at second base with a leadoff double down the left field line. It's his 4th double on the year. And he's in scoring position for Vinny Pasquantino. Like a hanging slider that Bobby shot down that left field line. So now he has hits in 14 of his 19 games. So the infield shades Vinny Pasquantino around to the right. Bobby takes his lead. A look at the runner. Bobby dancing off of second. The first pitch is high to Vinny for ball 1.
Get him over, get him in.
There you go. You got to score 1 before you score 8 or 9, right? 1-0 in the pitch, and a swing and a high fly ball. Deep right center field. That's back toward the wall, and making the catch right in front of the wall is Vierling. That will get Bobby over to third base as Vierling caught it in right center, deep in right center on the warning track. So Vinny advances the runner. That's a successful at bat right there, as Bobby's now at third base with 1 out.
It could have certainly been more. That's one of the deeper parts of the ballpark here, and no doubt in a handful of ballparks, including maybe the one we're going to tomorrow, that's a home run. And it's about the exact same spot that Vinny hit his triple to last night. So more consistent power to that right center field gap the last couple of days.
Infield comes in. Salvi at the plate with a runner at third and 1 out. Here's the pitch to Salvi. He'll try to check his swing and a pitch down at him, but he's rung up for a swing by Derek Thomas, the first base umpire. So it's 0-1 on Salvador Perez, who reached on an infield hit his first time up. So Bobby's at third, 1 out. 0-1 on Salvi. And the pitch. And a swing and a grounder foul up the third base side. And it's quickly 0-2 on the captain, who's DHing today. He is 0 for 21 with runners in scoring position. So see if he can break that drought right now and get Bobby in and at least tie this game. He has 29 career homers against the Tigers, by the way. 0-2. Long pause, now the pitch, and a swing and a miss and a slider down and away. And Salvi strikes out. That's 5 Ks for Cater Montero. And now the infield can move back, and a sacrifice fly will not be a possibility now. And we'll see if Carter Jensen can find a way to get Bobby home from third with 2 down. Jensen fly to right his first time, looking for his first hit in the series. He does have an RBI. Play him to pull on the infield. A pitch, swing, and a ground ball off the glove of McGonigal on the backhand. Bobby scores. It's 1-1. Sharply hit ball. McGonigal was playing in over toward the third base bag, and he tried to handle that hot shot on the backhand side. It kicked off his glove. Bobby comes home to score to tie the game 1-1.
Okay, will it hold true? The Royals are undefeated when Bobby Witt Jr. scores a run this year.
And it is an RBI hit as India stands in. Jensen at first. First pitch, called strike, outside corner. That single, that RBI single by Carter Jensen, and every Royal single this season earns a donation from Sun Life and the Kansas City Royals.
Local and family owned, is celebrating 82 years as Michigan's leader in replacement windows. 1-1 tie. We're in the fourth. Flip over to first to drive Jensen back. Injury report is brought to you by McLaren Health, the official healthcare system of the Detroit Tigers. Justin Verlander had a bullpen session yesterday. A.J. Hinch, choosing his words carefully today, said it wasn't progress and it wasn't a setback either. Fly ball softly to center field. Vierling comes in, makes the catch, and that means Justin Verlander is still probably a ways away from being ready to go on a rehab start. 1-1 ties. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning. Tigers and Royals at Comerica Park. This is the home of Detroit Tigers baseball, presented by Meyer.
Home is right here in.
Thank you, Tim. The strike one, soft tap foul, sinker away. Sweeper sinker combination. Pasquantino barely got a piece of both. He falls behind, no balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's generally what he does to left-handed hitters.
Good speed on the base pass, especially that guy at first. Garcia at second runs well. The 0-2, swinging a line drive softly into right center, coming over and in. Wenzel Perez will make the catch. Oh, that looked dangerous for a moment. Quickly gets the ball into Javi Baez by second base. Looked like it might sink. A little humpback liner. Stayed up in the air long enough for Wenzel Perez to make a nice running catch. 2 outs.
He sure did, Dan. A lot of times off the bat, you'll get fooled as an outfielder on those big swings, especially from a big guy like Pasquantino. Wenzel didn't, drove on that ball, made the catch, made it look easy.
Lays it up to Salvador Perez. 1 for 2 of the sacrifice fly today. First pitch cutter on the back door for a called strike 1. Perez 1 for 6 in his career against Tyler Holton with a couple of strikeouts. The strike 1, swing and a miss. Stayed away with a cutter, no balls and 2 strikes.
That's well located, just off the plate, cuts back on. Gets Salvi to swing and miss.
That's one of the better cutters we've seen him throw.
Yes, it is.
He snapped that off. The 0-2, bounced up to home plate. Good block by Dylan Dingler. Almost hit Salvi on the bounce. Garcia, the runner at second. Torres at second base, shades right up the middle. Tigers usually play Perez this way on the infield, and that means Javi Baez pulled over toward the hole. Shifted way toward third. McGonigal deep and off the line at third base. The outfield plays him almost straight up. Swinging a soft little tapper foul over by the Tigers dugout. 6-5. Tigers had a 6-1 lead. First two reached in this inning. Second batter go back to that Caglione single. It was going to be a ground ball out. Baez waiting for it behind second. It hit second base, bounced over his head. And that's been that helped fuel this inning. Holton sets. The 1-2. Cutter away. Crowd groans, clearly outside. Can feel a little cooler air moving into downtown Detroit. Clouds coming in. Rain is not far away. The 2-2 in the dirt again. Bounces away from Dylan Dingler this time. Now two in scoring position. Two pitches that bounced in front of home plate.
It's that curveball down and in. They're trying to get him to bite on that back foot breaking ball. Salvi's holding up. Dylan Dingler, nice job keeping that in front of him.
You would think away with the cutter?
Yeah, or go inside. Cutter.
3-2, swing and a tap foul on the changeup. Had him lunging, but he got a piece of it. So it's gone down and in, down and in. Changeup down. He's not giving him a fastball. Been cutters, changeup, curveball. What does he get now on another 3-2? He does not like to walk. If it's close, he'll be swinging. 3-2 pitch and swinging a jam job, ground ball, foul over the head of our good friend Vance Wilson, the third base coach for the Kansas City Royals, ex-Tigers catcher. The third base coach for a long time now for the Royals. Does a terrific job.
They wanted fastball up there. Tyler did not get it there, but he got it in enough to where Salvi couldn't do anything with it.
One more time, the 3-2 pitch, swing and a line foul down the third base line. A rare long at bat for Salvador Perez. A single will almost surely give the Royals the lead. Bobby Witt Jr., one of the fastest players in the league, is at second base. This will be the 10th pitch of the at-bat, swinging a high fly ball left field. This one's deep. It's trouble, and that ball is gone. Salvador Perez got a changeup, and he did not miss. 2 out, 3-run home run, and the Royals take an 8-6 lead in the 7th.
Dan, I think it was the right pitch. It was in the wrong spot. They went change up. He wanted it down and away, and he yanked it and got it in. And right into Salvi's bat path.
And that is going to stop play. Wow. Rain's coming. Grounds crew out. Tarp's going on. Cover the mound and home plate first. Wow. He just golfed it. He went down to a knee after the swing. Royals have wiped out a 5-run lead for the Tigers. 8-6 Royals, and the rains are approaching. Tigers are getting the tarp down. So we are going to be in a rain delay for a little bit. 8-6 Royals, bases empty, 2 outs in the 7th inning. Let's send it back to our affiliates along the Detroit Tigers radio network.
Claim that I should have been at the meeting when they moved it up, and my ass would have known that's when it was. Yeah, okay, I got you. And was it disappointing? Bet your ass it was disappointing. Waited my whole life to be a head coach. I'm not in the head coach's picture. You'd think with AI they could have done that quickly and got me in there. But no, it's the way it is. It'll be under the bridge, and what'll matter most is how we move from here and do we win or not. That ultimately, none of that will matter.
See, this is what I love about this guy. He's not up there just giving you that straight, normal coach speak. And it doesn't mean that he doesn't want to win. It doesn't mean that that guy's not all in. It doesn't mean that that guy's not there to do a job. But he's there for all the right things, but can give you that too. Like that, the way he speaks and the way he frames things is really funny. Like that dude is really funny. I can't wait for his next presser. He was just trying to get a sweet haircut, guys. Give him a break. I mean, yeah, my ass should have been there, but I was just trying to get a sweet haircut. And again, I'm not saying, look, the guy makes me laugh, therefore I'm back on the bandwagon. They're America's team yet again. That's America's coach. I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying I like this guy. This guy makes me laugh. And now does he make me laugh? You know, maybe he's that guy. Maybe he's that guy to get in there, get their attention, fix the culture, and maybe make it fun again, because it's been a hell of a long time since we've had any fun with the Browns. I guess what I'm saying is, this is a long way of saying, you know what I want? You know what I would really like? You know what would be cool? It'd be cool to have lunch with a Monken. Lunch with a Monken. Lunch with a Monken. Monken. Lunch with a Monken. Lunch with a Monken. Lunch with a Monken. Maybe even dinner with a Monken. Dinner with a Monken. Shut your pie hole. Shut your pie hole. Shut your pie hole. I'd like to have brunch with a Monken. Brunch with a Monken. I just want to sit down with a Monken. Monken. I just want to sit down and get a sweet haircut with a Monken. I think I'd have a pretty good time with a Monken. I just want to chop it up with a Monken.
Everybody's hot. You take a shower after a game, but you can never feel like real clean.
Infield's in pretty good shape. A pitcher needs to warm up.
Because it was almost just like I got in there and I was almost like, well, like whatever this is, it's going to be over soon. And I don't know that I necessarily thought about it that way, but it was kind of just like, all right, this is something to try. And then, was lucky enough to like have some really, really good veteran guys down there to help me out. And then obviously it helped that the team was on a really good stretch. And so I think it just kind of freed me up to not be so involved in what's going on in the game too early and just kind of like wait my turn. And
the track, on the track, and Clark reaches up, and Clark robs him of a home run! Oh, what a play by Denzel, he strikes again!
Oh, what a throw by Adolis Garcia! You just can't outrun the throw.
In time to retire Judge.
Acuna Mercado, what a play.
And that is going to be caught by Junior.
Ryan, that's the shortstop of the United States of America right there.
Oh, was that a play by Junior Caminero?
Diving and making the catch is one, and it's a double play! JJ timed his lead perfectly. Coming in and diving and making the catch, Mike Yastrzemski.
Holy Cowser! What a play!
Sliding play by Wilson. Throws to first and got it. What a play by Jacob Wilson.
Oh, tremendous play by Edmundo Sosa.
Vargas has been outstanding down there. Look at this. And J.P. Crawford, basket catch.
On the ground, left side, Cora. Two hopper stumbles and the throw into the artificial surface. One of those embarrassing moments that all players have. Everything's normal to this point, everything's normal here, and now it becomes abnormal.
And look, he's suppressing a smile. Yeah. Come on now. He knows that's funny.
A snack that Freddie cannot resist.
I would have to say chips and guacamole. Organic mango, yep.
Is that because of the strong Dominican contingent in the major leagues, bro? Has anybody ever struck out and gone crazy and smashed the cooler full of mangoes?
Nah, our team's not really into smashing each other's stuff, I guess.
Are you a seasoning guy? You like to drown your stuff in dips and sauces?
No. Gotta watch my figure.
And it looks great, brother.
I appreciate it.
Very sexy man. Yeah, let's go, Freddie Freeman, ladies and gentlemen.
Matthews getting the start in left field tonight.
That ball hit well to left center field. Forget about it. Bryce Matthews by the home run pump. He hits his 5th Major League home run. That was a no-doubter. Well over 400 feet.
434 over the gas pump in left field and into home run alley for Bryce.
That was pummeled.
He may be number 0 on the back of his jersey, but he's number 1 in your heart. Wow.
He hit a 3-run homer as though it were a bolt of lightning or something. Boom, the skies open up and the rain came down. Good news now is the rain has moved off. Blue sky is coming back. The sun is back out again. And the grounds crew has removed the big tarp that covers the infield. And now they're picking up all the little tarps like the one that they had covering the batter's box area. They still have the tarp covering the pitcher's mound with the old English D on top of it. But that's about the only tarp that's left out there. Looks like the warning tracks have been dried out pretty well with the squeegee work of the grounds crew. They'll remove that pitcher's mound tarp. And so we have a restart time. Hopefully this is the last delay we're going to have for you today, and hopefully we'll take it right home to a Royals victory this afternoon. But it's 4:20 Kansas City time, so we're 12 minutes away from restarting this game in the top of the 7th inning. When we do, Carter Jensen will bat with the bases empty and 2 down. Maybe Carter can get a 2-out rally going, and the Royals can score even more than 6 runs in the top of the 7th. But it's still officially the top of the 7th right now. The Royals leading at 8-6, and we're back in a moment here at Comerica Park on the Royals Baseball Network.
The Royals take the field. Excitement fills the air. Pasquatch crushes. Junior steals. And then hot dogs. Yep, Bark at the Park is back. Your theme ticket gets you and your furry fan in to watch the Royals face the Guardians Wednesday, May 6th. Let them loose in the new off-leash tailgate powered by City Dogs. It's a night of baseball and belly rubs. Tickets at royals.com/bark.
In KC, few traditions are as time-honored as tailgating. Any parking lot, driveway, or backyard will do. It's where we learn to flip burgers and throw curveballs, and where the sizzle of the grill meets the crack of a bat. For generations, great game days have started with a trip to Price Chopper. And some traditions should never change. For every fan, every tailgate, every game, Kansas City knows Price Chopper.
For over 55 years, Stayco Electric Construction Company has powered commercial, industrial, and healthcare facilities across the Kansas City region. From complex electrical systems and critical power distribution to dependable service and maintenance, Stayco is built on safety, quality, and reliability. If you're looking for a trusted electrical contractor for your next project, visit StaycoElectric.com. Stayco Electric Construction Company, official electrical contractor of the Kansas City Royals.
Hi, this is Mark Ferguson, attorney at law. I know how it goes. We all make mistakes. The occasional lapse in judgment, one too many drinks with a friend, or just running late to work. Whatever the reason, there may come a time when you find yourself staring face to face with one of our city's finest. When that happens, call me, Mark Ferguson. I can make your entire legal system experience go smoother, and probably with fewer long-term consequences. So if you do get caught making a mistake, call me, Mark Ferguson, at 877-221-MARK. That's 877-221-MARK.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Fridays are for fans. Fans of the Royals, fans of the city, fans of fireworks, fans of fountains. On Fridays at the K, you'll become a fan of the Royals' new City Connect uniforms. The Forever Fountains design honors our history, celebrates the heart of America, and shines with the spirit of what's next. Because here in Kansas City, our future is fountains up. Join us on Fridays for monthly giveaways and put your pride on display. Visit royals.com/cityconnect.
Hi, Royals fans. This is JJ Picollo. Baseball is a game of decisions, and the Royals work to make the right calls all season long. And making the best decisions for your health care is just as important. That's why the Royals turn to the experts at the University of Kansas Health System to make the right calls for our players' health. You can see the very same experts to get leading-edge care. The University of Kansas Health System is the official healthcare provider of the Kansas City Royals. Learn more at kansashealthsystem.com/Royals.
At Hawthorne Bank, business banking is built around you. With fast decisions and local support, we make managing your business finances simple. Our team works with you to customize solutions that match your goals. So when you're ready to take that next step, we're ready to help you move forward. And with mobile banking, staying on top of your money, even on game day, is easier than ever. Visit us at hawthornebank.com and start connecting to what's possible. Hawthorne Bank, member FDIC.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to power your progress, so you can give everything you've got, all for just 1 cent down. Whether you want to get the most out of our best-in-class equipment or go all in with free fitness training, our trainers are ready to help you get stronger than ever before. Take your workout to the next level at Planet Fitness. Join the club today for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal extended to April 16th. You ready? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
Comerica Park, Detroit. We've spent a lot of time here the last few days. Unfortunately for the Royals, Detroit had good 8th innings both Tuesday and Wednesday. Today, the Royals have had a very good 7th inning. Those 8th innings have helped Detroit win the first 2 games of the series. Let's hope that the 7th inning for the Royals today helps the Royals get a victory before they leave town. Detroit took a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 2nd inning on a Spencer Torkelson RBI double to left field. That was off of the starter, Chris Bubich. The Royals got it tied in the top of the 4th inning. Bobby Witt Jr. Doubled. It was his 4th double on the year. He doubled to lead off the 4th inning, and he eventually scored. He went to 3rd on a flyout by Vinny Pasquantino, so that was a big at-bat to get him to 3rd base, because then an infield hit by Carter Jensen brought home Bobby from 3rd to tie at 1-1 as Jensen drove his 10th run of the year. So the Royals scratched out a run there to make it 1-1, but immediately bottom of the 4th inning, the Tigers scored again. This time it was an RBI base hit by Matt Bierling to left, scored Riley Green. So it was 2-1 Detroit after 4. Then in the bottom of inning number 5, Chris Bubich ran into trouble. He issued a one-out walk to Baez, then an RBI double to Gleyber Torres, and then an RBI, a soft single off the bat of Jahmai Jones. John Schreiber came in. He gave up a 2-run homer to Dylan Dingler. And after the smoke cleared, they had put up 4. So they had a 6-1 lead. The Tigers did after 5 innings. The Royals came up in the top of the 6th inning. Bobby Witt Jr. in his 3rd at-bat led off just as he did in the 4th inning with a double to left field. And he eventually came around to score as Vinny moved him to 3rd with another fly ball. So he may not have any hits today, but Vinny's had a couple of very productive outs today. Got Bobby to 3rd. And then Salvador Perez hit a line drive to left that Riley Green caught. And Bobby was able to tag up, come home, and score sacrifice fly. So the Royals at that point had their 2nd run. So after 6 innings, it was 6-2 in favor of Detroit. But the 7th inning, which technically we're still in right now, the top of the 7th inning, it started with another leadoff double, the Royals' 3rd of the day. That was from Jonathan India. He came home on a base hit up the middle by Jack Caglione. It was headed towards center or maybe an infielder's glove, but it hit the second base bag and deflected into a right center field. And that hit by Cags was his first RBI of the year. It was his first hit of the day, and it brought home India to get the Royals a little closer. So that gave them 1 run. And then Lane Thomas pinch hit for Massey. He drew a walk. So the Royals had 1st and 2nd. 1 run in, nobody out. Kyle Isbell, who's a great bunter, laid down a sac bunt, and that put both Cags and Thomas in scoring position. And then a base hit by Garcia. As he came up there, Garcia drove in 1 with his base hit, and then Bobby Witt Jr. came up with an infield hit, drove in Thomas with an RBI infield hit. So the Royals had 2 men on, and they were down at that point 6-5. And then with 2 down, Salvi came up, hit a 3-run homer to left, his 3rd homer on the year, his 3rd, 4th, and 5th RBIs of the year. And 8 batters have batted in this inning. The Royals have put up 6 runs.